Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Since I've been trying to explain a lot of Notion stuff, I thought it would be best if I explained the coding things that I've been using on my templates. It should help you customize my templates more and make your own. So let's get into it and hop onto the Notion page. And now we're on the Notion page. So this is a kind of guide page that I made beforehand to help you guys understand what this is. So this is pronounced KaTeX, or as at least that's what my computer science batchmates tell me that's how it's pronounced. I always said as KaTeX, but apparently it's KaTeX. So yeah, this is like the first, like what I call the advanced Notion techniques, which is like separate from just adding databases and customizing them with the pre-made colors of Notion. So this is gonna be like the first installment of this. So it's gonna be coding basically. So I already just have this as a random thing. It doesn't really mean anything. I just use it as a basis for the colors later. But right now, what I call it, like, the activation of code mode. So it's going to be made out of inline codes and blocks. So over here, I'm not sure why my thing is lagging, but let me fix it. There you go. Okay, so what I call code mode can come in inline form or block form. So the difference of inline equations and block equations, or math blocks, what they used to be called, I'll just change it now to what? I don't know what is happening to my computer today. Change this to block equations. So this is like an example code that I put up. So to activate inline equations, you can just slash and search inline equations. So inline equation. Or you could do this. So you can put your code. You can add $2 at the front and at the end, and it turns into this. Or another option you could do is you have the $signs first, you paste, and then you do that. You don't have to paste it. You can just type it if you want. And then the difference between that, it's an inline code, and next is the block equation. So block equation, you can just search. So block equation, paste the code. It looks like this. So this is how you get centered text on Notion, because it's always aligned to the left no matter what you do, and this one is centered. Now the special thing about inline equations is that you can keep typing beside them. So there, I'm just gonna keyboard smash. You can still type beside them. You can still, but then because it's a line, it's like a full thing, you're not gonna be able to type higher unless you edit this. So just a quick explanation of how the code works. So this is just text, meaning you're just gonna type it out, and then the text that you wanted to type is in this curly brackets, and then these two backslashes are for a skip a line. So if I remove these two backslashes, they move up, but if I add them back, they jump down. So that's how backslashes work. And then so you can have like the way that you add inline equations with the $signs, or you can just manually add them. You can manually add the code blocks or equation blocks or math blocks. I'm just going to be calling them a bunch of different things. Or you could just do this. Just go over here and turn them into block equations. Same thing. So I'm going to be kind of not exactly releasing this exact document. I'm going to make some edits later, but I will be adding this onto my templates link down below. And then we move on to the uses of it. So we have this, so we can have an edit where we go $sign, paste this, and it turns into that. So it has a built-in font feature. It doesn't have as big of a variety of fonts, but let me just show you what they look like. So that is normal. Yeah, it's normal text. This is type settings. I don't know what to call it, but basically just typewriter looking. And this is a sans serif font. This is a boldface font. There you go, bold serif font. This is another different one. I still don't know what to call these because, yeah, but this has the kind of italics and then the big letters at the front. Let's see what this is. This is like black lettering, old school like typing or calligraphy. We have this, which is that. I don't really know what to call that. And then this one is a script, I think. So you still add that. There you go. It looks like that. So those are the built-in fonts that KaTeX has. There are a lot more, but these are the ones that I chose to feature since they all look different. Now, we can change font sizes. So this is from the KaTeX website, because I'm going to also link the KaTeX website once I post this. But what happens is that you can change the size of things. So you just add $2 at the front and back, and you can see that they convert into different sizes of the same text. So this is how you can get larger font sizes without using the headers. So you have this, right? So this is a header 2. You can have bigger ones than that. This is a header 1. You can see that the largest size they have is bigger than the largest header that they have on Notion. So you can really customize the size of the text that you want on your page. So I'm just going to keep adding these. And you can see the kind of decrease in sizes that you have with the different labels. So yeah. Now we move on to the one that I've been using the most. So I've been using not really the font. I've been using the font sizes and the custom colors the most on my most recent designs and templates. So I have these hex codes and colors. You'll understand what these words are for later. And they're based off of this top section where you can see the icon. So I just took colors from that and then turned them into hex codes. So you can see a full list of the CSS color keywords here, and that is what these are. So these are the closest colors that I can get to these hex codes over here. So the first thing you need to learn is text color. So instead of adding the actual full code, I added the code format. So what you do is, for example, $, text color, the color that you want. So you can use a color or a hex code. So I'll start with hex code AF8376, which is brown pink. That's what I called it. And then the text we're going to put is words. And then $. So that's what it looks like. Or you could do the same thing but with the color term. So this is not a one-to-one match. I just picked what looked closest. So $, / text color. It's called rosy brown space words, and then $. So you could see they're not exactly the same color, but that's how you add text color. So you can just change the color of what you're writing. So that's how I get custom colors into my designs. Next is the color box. So you can do the same thing. Let's use pink. So normally you go $, / color box, the color, which is D2A99D, which is the salmon pink that I use here. Go here and type words and $. Oh, $. There you go. Now you can see its default is black text when you have a color box. Now you can do the same thing with the color box, but instead of adding a hex code, you add pink and then words, $. Now you can see that you have your default text box or default color box, that is the color that you set, and then you have the word that you put in it, and its default is a black color. So now we go on to the color box with a border. So what I mean by border is that you have a little box around here, if you are familiar with Adobe terms, it's a stroke around the box. So do it again. So instead of color box, you go F color box, the color of the border that you want. Let's say we're gonna just be using terms now because you already know how to use hex codes. So dark slate gray, that's the border color. And if we want the box color to still be, let's say, blanched almond, which is this beige, and then text will still be the same thing, words, and like that. So now you can see the text is automatically black, the inside is blanched almond, and then the outline is dark slate gray. If you don't see dark slate gray, we can change this to pink and you can see the difference. There you go. So that's what it looks like when you have your default black text with your box made out of blanched almond, and then the border is pink. Now, of course, there's gonna be designs where you don't want just black text, so this is how you change it. So now we're getting into like the layering aspect of KaTeX. So we're just gonna go do the same thing, but with a little twist on it. So let me first explain what this code means. So the color box is the same thing as we did here. So the color box, color, and then the text. So we're saying that we start with color box because we want to do the color box, the color of the box that we want. And then in the text section, we add text color because that's what's going to be inside the box. But we also want to change it. So it's going to be /text color like we did up here, the color, and then the text. And then these curly brackets are just to separate things. So these two are still the curly brackets referring to the text. And then this inside part is what we want to be inside this box, which is these, or the design of these. So in practice, that looks like color box. Let's say the color box we want is going to be one of these. So let's say is rosy brown. And then the inside of the rosy brown box, we want like pink text. So / text color, pink text, right? That says words. And then if we just keep it like this, it's going to be error because, you know, you don't have another curly bracket to close this out. So we need another one. And 2. So now we have a rosy brown box with pink text that says words. So that's basically how you do a text color and a box combo. So you can do the same thing with the F color box, but that's just going to be the same thing. So instead of having just writing text here or the words that you want, you just add the code for text color inside this bracket over here, and make sure you always have the right amount of curly brackets so that it doesn't cause an error. Now we have the next thing, which is built-in symbols and custom bullets. So of course you're gonna have bullet points on Notion, but right now the bullet points on Notion is just a dot, or like it changes, I think, depending on your layer, but most of it is just a dot. So how do you add custom bullets to the custom like colors that you have? So you just do this. So / and then the name of it. So what you do is do the same thing. So triangle right looks like that. Black triangle right looks like that. So I'm just going to speed this through and you can actually just see what they all look like when converted. Don't worry, the doc that I'm going to, or the doc, or the other Notion template guide that I'm going to be posting for this is going to be having the code and the drawing. So this is what most of them look like. So you can see they just look like normal bullets. And I decided to add the ones that look the nicest for bullet points, but there are a lot more symbols in KaTeX. So this is what you can do with just the code in here, which isn't usually available on the emojis because of course they look like emojis. And then the special thing about these is since they're part of KaTeX, you can also do the same thing and color them. And that's where we get into combinations. So what you do for the combinations is that, of course, like we did here, you can mix and match the code so it looks like what you want it to look like. So a combo of fonts. So of course we went up here and explained a lot of the different fonts that KaTeX has. So over here, you can see this is the text that we want, or this is the text that I'm referring to, which is a combo of the typewriter font and boldface. So what happens is, if you look at this, you can see text BF, that's boldface, and then typewriter text. That's what I at least shorten it as. I don't know what it really means. But without the typewriter text, this is what boldface looks like. So you modify the boldface with the typewriter text that's just dictating which font you want. And then, of course, we have the curly brackets, so that the text that you're referring to is going to be in here, right? And then you modify the text inside to be a typewriter text. So, of course, you have multiple curly brackets. So this is what the actual code looks like. And then this is a combo of fonts and sizing. So you want a huge boldface text that is a sans serif. So you can also, so I got this from like a bunch of different websites. I'm just collating all of them. It's not originally mine because of course I'm using KaTeX documentation. So let me explain. So you can see it says huge, text BF, text SF. And what does that mean? So first off, you go from the outside, so huge. Huge is the size of this word. Text BF, boldface, like we have over here. Text SF, sans serif. And then the word. So if we go over here, and then I show you another thing. So I do this, right? So you have the same thing. But if you remove, for example, this, it turns into a serif font. If you remove this part, it becomes smaller. If you remove this part, it just turns into a not boldface, sans serif. So that's how you can modify these to suit your needs. Now, this is a kind of math block trick. So the method here is you type the code normally, you color the text first, then you make it into a block equation, and you have this, which is a inbuilt Notion purple color as a highlight. So instead of coding in a color box, you can color in the entire block. And how do you do that? So we'll just follow this. Type the code normally, color the text, and make it into a block equation. So this is the code that I used to make this. So this is how you do it. So you go, you paste it, you go over here, you pick a color, let's do pink this time so you can see the difference, right? Go over here, turn into a block equation, and ta-da, it's colored. And that's just how it works. So you can combine the size, which means like this, so large, and then the one on the bottom is small, and you can see the double backslash, which means new line. So you have a header and then you have a subheader in two different like sizes. Okay, now next is combo of size and custom colors. So we already went through a while ago how to make these, which is a custom color box with custom text color inside. Now we just combine that with a size delineator? I don't even know. Delimiter? Basically just add a backslash of what size you want it to be. So you can, this was large. We used huge over here. And then it's the same thing. It just makes it bigger. And then next is the combo of size, colors, and layered fonts. So of course, like previously, here, I'll show you what it looks like without the combo. So this is the thing that I used here. It looks really long, but let me explain. So first is we're telling the code that we want the font to be italicized, and then we want it to be a typewriter font. We want it to be large, and then we did the same thing here as the color box and text color. So I just take this and then add more curly brackets onto it, changing the font that we used here, because this is a regular size, so not boldface, serif font that is not italicized. But this, we have a typewriter font that is italicized. And then removing, for example, this removes the italics. So you can still do the same thing of just changing the font to do whatever you want. Now, this is a combo of size, text, color only without a box, and symbols. So this is how you use it. So I've tried it with a color box before, and I'll show you how to do a label with a color box. So like you can see it over here, so you can see that it's all colored. So we'll explain. So it's a large one, so this is the size. And then we do the text color. So text color is pink. And then the text we have inside is a right triangle, so triangle pointing right, and words. If you might be wondering what this squiggle is, this is a spacebar. So even if I keep pushing space here, it doesn't do anything. Or not there, because of course it's not gonna make sense because it's not in the code. But here, if I remove this, it's gonna be like, see? There you go. So it errored because it considered it as a whole kind of code here that says right triangle right words, and it doesn't know what that means. If you press space, then it becomes its own word. Now the problem is, no matter how many spaces you press, it's not going to add any other spaces. So the way that you add an extra space between that is by adding a squiggle. There, and that's how it works. So you can do the same thing. So the right, or the triangle pointing right, looks like a bullet, but it's not actually. It just is a kind of ornament that you put onto the words. So that's basically how you do, just generally what I do on my templates. So if you want to customize the colors, then you already know that this, or if you see a color name, like I have here, like it says pink, then that's what you change if you want to change the color. If you want to change the content, just look for the second curly bracket after the colors, and then now at least you know what these mean, because these are what I usually use. So you can do the same thing and actually customize like the text up here. The problem with it is for example, if we do this and make it into an inline equation, it changes, right? And then you're gonna notice that, you know, there's no spaces. So what you have to do is you have to add the squiggles to actually add the spaces. But now, even if it does look nice on the view that you have, the issue is when you look onto here, you can see that you have a $sign, because that is the kind of the leftovers of how it's displayed on Notion. So you can see it doesn't really look the nicest. You can actually see kind of raw code than just the nice looking font that you have. So you have to be really careful if you want to do that, because it's going to be harder for you to navigate, but it's going to look nicer for you when you're here. So moving on to the application. So design isn't the only application of this, or like typing it on the plain, like, you know, just the commands and just typing it here. You can also use it in databases, in progress bars, and in arrows and diagrams. So these are all inspired by Ren Gregory, who's like a really big Notion blogger, and they have a lot of like tutorials on their blog on how to do it. So I just thought to display some of them for you guys, so you guys can see how good coding is on Notion and like how powerful it can actually be. So you can see I changed the name of the database, and it's now like a rosy brown color. The thing about connecting to a database that looks like this is that you can't just type in database and find it. So if we go link to a database, or just add a database, so database, inline, if we want to connect this to this, basically, wait, there you go. And wait, let me fix this up. Basically, if you want to connect this to a new database, instead of typing in the word database, you have to look for another thing. So let's see, scroll through, linked view of database. So you can see that this is the one that we're talking about, but since it's called database, or it looks like it's called database, but it's code, you have to search for it with a $sign and the code that you use to color it, instead of just the name of it. So if you want to link something to this, you have to click this, or search for $sign, and then backslash, and then type the whole thing. You could do that. There you go. And you still have to kind of basically fix the entire thing, and it won't show up properly when it's linked. See? You can see it's not really showing up properly when it's linked. So let me explain what these are. So these are labeled as tags, but they're actually on the text setting, not on the, basically not on the actual like multi-select or select setting. So you can see that sizes, like a size change, does work on a database. So you can change your text color, you can add just the normal color box, you can add the color box with the custom color inside. And then these are just the uses of the ones that I was telling you about before, the symbols. So you can see here that the text color is rosy brown for a diamond. So basically consider this as separate entities. So it's text color, the color of the diamond is rosy brown, and it's coloring the diamond, the shape of the diamond, and then there is text after that that says tag number 1. So you can see that the rosy brown is only affecting the diamond and not the words tag 1. For this one, you're doing the same thing but coloring the entire thing. So instead of the color, so this is the same thing as text color. So you can see it separates it. So color colors the entire thing. And then we're coloring it a dark sea green, a bullet, so we added a bullet, and then a text that says tag 2. So if we do text color, right, you can see that it only colors the bullet. But if you have this, you can color the entire thing. So color colors the entire thing, and then text color colors a specific area that's inside a curly bracket. So if you want multiple colors in one line, I suggest using text color instead of just plain color. And then this is just a, the color of the entire thing. F box is adding just the border. So I taught you a while ago how to make a text with the box, a color box, and a border. That's why you have F. But if you just want a border, it's just F box and not F color box. So that's what I did for this one. So tag 3, coloring the entire thing. And then F box, so it's a box around the word tag 3. That is a dark slate gray because you color the entire thing. So consider text color as it only applies to whatever is in the curly brackets that it's influencing. The tag or the code color takes into everything, like every single thing on this line. So that's how you create these. Now, progress bars. So these are the codes for the progress bars. It's a bit crazy, so I'm going to be putting them in the template in the description. But basically what you do is you have to connect these progress bars to a percentage, any percentage. I just connected them to a number that says percentage, but you can link them to, for example, what I did, which I'm going to show you later which I'm going to show for the expense tracker that I made. The expense tracker has something that makes you know when you've reached your, for example, budget for a certain item or for a certain category. But for this, I just linked it to any percentage. So you can see 100, and then this indicates where it's at. So if we change this to 42, it'll update here too. And what you can do is you just connect this to, for example, checkboxes. Depending on how many checkboxes are checked, then that's how many you're gonna use. And then if you have just percentages of adding a number somewhere, a total for how much you've spent, then you can also connect that here. And then you can see here it says percentage, which connects to this. So this is the indicator progress bar, which points at where it is. This is the color change progress bar, where it actually, changes colors depending on where you are. And that's just how you use it, or just basically a general overview of how it's done. So you can see here that it's pretty long. So this is the percentage that you're actually going to use. So if the percentage is less than this, then display this. That's basically what it is. It's just a really long if statement, which I think I've already told you guys about during the video about tables. So, same thing for every single one, because of course it is a formula. Now for arrows and diagrams, this is the thing that I only recently learned about. I haven't been using it in my own spreads. I call them spreads because I'm so used to bullet journaling. But basically, it's a giant math block with arrows. And you can use this to, do notes for class, or you can just make diagrams on your own things. So this is what it looks like to make this. So same thing. What happens is an @ sign and 3 symbols like this make this. An @ sign and 3 symbols like this make this. This is up, and then this is down. And then @ equals, and then @ line, and that's what it looks like. So that's how you create these lines. Now, if you want to label them, So this is the same thing. So same code. It says begin CD. So that's what you have to do to create these. The text is thing 1 at greater than sign leads to, so this is the text. So this means that it's going on top. So we explained a while ago that this has 3, right? So if you have it between the first and the second, it goes on top. If you have it between the second and the third, it goes on the bottom. So leads to the text, which is thing 2. So you can just see the difference between these codes, and the only difference is where the word leads to is in the code. Now, you could basically do the same thing with all of these and create something like a tree diagram. So this is really complicated looking, but I'll try to explain. An array is basically like seats. So you line up how many seats you want. So the C just means 5 seats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And that corresponds to how many layers that you need if you're trying to use an array. The end, the double end, is for skipping a line, or for basically moving from seat to seat. So this first one, so you're moving from here, you're saying add text that says concept right in the middle. And then you have these 2 ends again, meaning you're moving the next seat and a new line. So you're saying add a southwest arrow, that's what it's called, swero, and so basically add this and a down arrow and a southeast arrow. So this second line has these 3 arrows. Slash slash, meaning you skip a line, and then you have the words thing 1, so over here, and double end, meaning that you move to the next seat, thing 2, and thing 3. So you have this line. And then you add double arrows. So you add 2 down arrows. So you have 1 down arrow, skip 2 seats actually. So you basically go through skipping this area and then adding another down arrow here. Text sub thing 1, skip another line, and then sub thing 3. And you just end the array. It's very complicated, but you kind of need to know a little bit more about coding, and this is like a way more advanced concept than coloring your text, basically. And that's what I really want to do here, is just teach you guys how to custom color your text. Now let's hop over to some templates where I use KaTeX. So right now we're actually at the second ever SEM planner that I released. So you can see that I have this. So this is just a copy pasting. This isn't a KaTeX thing, because you can see that it exists on top. This, however, is a KaTeX thing because I'm using custom colors. So I'm doing the same thing. Color box, and then the text color. So the text color is actually supposedly the same color as the dark mode background. And then we have this line, which is 4th year newbie for SEM and speech comm. And then it's the same thing that I've been teaching you a while ago. Custom box with custom text color. Same thing for this, but we have a size modifier. You can see the same thing for this. This is the one I've been showing you about the database. So you're going to change the name. So this is the main database, and you can see that because actually this used to work in older versions of Notion, but I think since they've updated Notion, or like when I made this, it would show task list, but I think since they updated it, it's not working unless you click on it. So I'm going to try to figure out a way around that. So the kind of special thing about this is actually these. So you can see that I have custom colors of icons, which I just uploaded, but I have custom colors of, labels over here, which is the same thing. So you just have the text and then the modifier and then the text color. And then the color code, like the actual color that I'm using, the way that I did that is also by KaTeX. You can see that is just a color box with a text color that contains 5 dashes. I think this is 5. Yeah, 5 dashes. And then they're just exactly the same color, so they just make a little highlighter looking thing on the bottom, and you can see what color each subject is. And that's just how it works. So I also did the same thing for the academic calendar label. So it all matches into one full thing. Even Daily Dash has the large modifier on it. And that's basically how I use that for the first semester template. Now if we move to the most recent semester's template, you can see that I kind of, do similar things. So same thing, 4th year in UB, 1st year in speech comm. So same thing, color box, as this is the hex code, the one that I want to use. Text color, all Fs, which basically means white, which is the color of light mode background. So for these are all custom. So text color, I'm just changing the color of all of them. So you can see the changes that I have to make. And then this is a callout box. This is a coded thing. This is another box that I made, which is a color box, text color, and then instead of grabbing math blocks, which I think are too big, what I did is just add a bunch of squiggly lines. I kind of mixed both up. Squiggly lines to add the correct spacing to make them centered. So that's just how I do all of these. So these dividers are also the same thing. So these are just inline calendars or inline code with the squiggles, which are over the calendar and the urgent list. The daily dash is also here. Same technique. And then this is just a copy-pasted thing. The reason why I kept the copy-pasted thing, that you can see that this is a link but it's not coded, is so that you can have the same thing. So you don't have to search for it really hard. There you go. And these are the colors that I use to make the colors here. So if you move into a subject, for example here, you can notice that I basically use the KaTeX to customize every single part of these. So if you're wondering what font these are actually copy-pasted fonts that I added onto the text section. So it does work together with copy-pasted things. There you go. So they're all custom colors because of KaTeX. Now if we go towards, for example, the expense tracker, you can see the progress bar being used here. So you can check out this video if you want to learn more about this, but percent to the max, you can see there's a lot of code here, and this is basically a different version of the progress bar code that I showed you earlier. So you can actually see how helpful KaTeX has been for me to learn, because I can make custom colors like this and not have to really rely on a lot of the preset Notion colors. So what I'm going to do now is just go back to this. And, I'm going to work on this and you'll see them in the description when I upload. And that's pretty much it for a pretty basic KaTeX tutorial. I hope I explained KaTeX clear enough and you guys now have some new Notion techniques to try. What Notion tutorials, explanations, or templates do you want to see next? Leave them in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, hit the like button, and if you want to see more videos like this from me, then hit the subscribe button and the bell to know when a new video is out. I try to upload every week, Monday nights at 8. I guess that's all for this video. Bye guys!